In the heart of New York City, the sleek glass doors of Sterling Solutions opened with a soft swish, welcoming Emma Sterling into her father's empire for the very first time as an intern. The bustling office, alive with the sound of ringing phones and animated conversations, stood in stark contrast to the privilege that had surrounded her all her life. Today, she was no longer just Emma Sterling, the daughter of a billionaire. She was Emma Hayes, a fresh-faced intern determined to carve her own path. Clad in a modest navy blazer over a crisp white blouse and tailored black slacks, Emma had meticulously chosen her outfit to blend in, to downplay her background. She wanted to be seen for her skills, not her lineage. As she passed through security, the guard barely glanced at her intern badge. A wave of exhilaration and nerves washed over her. She was stepping into a world where her last name meant nothing. Fourth floor, marketing department, she murmured to herself, adjusting the strap of her simple laptop bag, which she had intentionally purchased from a discount store. It felt foreign, a stark contrast to the designer brands that filled her closet. Every detail mattered as she aimed to maintain her cover. The elevator ride offered a moment of reflection. Her father had been hesitant about her decision to work at Sterling Solutions, insisting that she had nothing to prove. "You'll inherit the company one day," he had said, his tone laced with paternal concern. But Emma was resolute. She wanted to understand the company from the ground up, to earn respect through hard work rather than entitlement. As she stepped onto the fourth floor, a whirlwind of activity engulfed her. Employees scurried about, their faces etched with determination and purpose. Suddenly, a cheerful voice broke through the noise. "You must be the new intern." A woman with warm brown eyes and a friendly smile approached her. "I'm Maria from HR. Let me show you around." Maria guided Emma through the office, pointing out the break room, conference areas, and finally leading her to her small cubicle. Ethan Brooks, the department manager, usually arrives around 9. He values punctuality, so you're good being here early. Just try to stay on his good side. Before Emma could ask what that meant, a palpable shift in the office atmosphere caught her attention. The casual chatter faded, replaced by the sound of chairs rolling back and keyboards clicking. A tall man in an impeccably tailored suit strode through the main doors, commanding the room with his presence. "That's him," Maria whispered, her voice tinged with anxiety. Within her first hour, Emma witnessed Ethan's harsh leadership style firsthand. He berated a junior copywriter, reducing her to tears over a minor detail in a draft presentation. His condescending tone echoed across the office, and Emma's heart sank as she recognized the toxic culture that permeated the department. Ethan dismissed innovative suggestions, took credit for others' ideas, and manipulated conversations to maintain his dominance. As Emma settled into her cubicle, she opened her laptop, determined to document everything. If she wanted to make real changes, she needed evidence and a comprehensive understanding of the issues. Ethan Brooks may have ruled his domain like a tyrant, but Emma was committed to uncovering the truth, even if it meant putting her own position at risk. The first day unfolded like a case study in poor management practices. By 5 p.m., Emma had filled several pages with notes detailing Ethan's behavior. As she packed her belongings, she caught sight of him berating another employee, a smug satisfaction evident in his demeanor. "Patience," she whispered to herself. Change doesn't happen overnight, but she sensed the coming weeks would reveal much more. 3 weeks into her internship, Emma sat in a monthly marketing review meeting, her frustration boiling as she watched Ethan present inflated sales figures to the regional directors. "Our social media engagement has increased by 200% this quarter," he announced triumphantly, pointing to a graph that Emma knew had been manipulated. She glanced around the conference room, noting the discomfort etched on her colleagues' faces. They knew the truth, but fear kept them silent. After the meeting, Emma lingered, organizing her notes until only she and Ethan remained in the room. "Mr. Brooks," she began carefully, "I noticed some discrepancies in the engagement reports." Ethan barely looked up from his phone. Your job is to fetch coffee, not question marketing strategies, he snapped, his tone dripping with condescension. Emma met his gaze steadily. Isn't accuracy in reporting a company policy? His dismissive reaction only fueled her determination. The next day, she discovered her access to the analytics dashboard had been revoked. But Ethan didn't realize she had already downloaded copies of the original data, preparing herself for the necessary confrontation. The situation escalated when Ethan announced a new partnership with Viral Boost, a company her father had previously banned due to unethical practices. During a team briefing, Emma raised her hand. Isn't Viral Boost on the restricted vendors list? The room fell silent, and Ethan's smile turned predatory. I have special clearance for this partnership, he replied, his voice dripping with disdain. Later that afternoon, Emma overheard Ethan negotiating kickbacks from the deal. Quietly, she activated her phone's voice recorder, adding another piece of evidence to her growing collection. Weeks passed, and Emma encouraged her colleagues to document everything. She created an anonymous suggestion box, gathering testimonies about Ethan's misconduct, altered reports, suppressed harassment complaints, and bullying disguised as leadership. The breaking point came during the development of the company's most significant campaign of the year. Emma noticed crucial flaws in Ethan's strategy and discreetly passed notes to her colleagues during a presentation, prompting them to ask pointed questions. Ethan's confident facade began to crack as he stumbled through his responses. After the clients left, he cornered Emma in the break room, his face inches from hers. You think you're clever, don't you? He snarled. I simply believe in accurate reporting, Mr. Brooks. Isn't that what serves the company best? She replied, standing her ground. That evening, Emma meticulously organized her gathered evidence, emails, voice recordings, testimonies, and financial records, ready to confront Ethan and expose the toxic culture that had taken root in the department. The next morning, Ethan called an emergency department meeting, his face composed, but Emma could see the vindictive gleam in his eyes. Let's talk about loyalty, he began, his voice deceptively calm. Yesterday, someone in this room deliberately undermined a presentation we spent weeks preparing. Emma raised her hand, watching his jaw clench at her audacity. Mr. Brooks, I think we need to address the irregularities in yesterday's presentation. The projected ROI figures were inflated by at least 40%. Ethan's face reddened. Stand up, Hayes. Emma complied, smoothing her skirt as she rose. You've done nothing but create discord among the team. You're fired. Emma's heart raced, but she remained calm. Are you firing me for identifying compliance violations? That could be considered retaliation against a whistleblower. The tension in the room was palpable as she gathered her things. The following day, news of the dramatic firing spread throughout the office. Richard Sterling, Emma's father, was making an unannounced visit. The atmosphere shifted as Ethan transformed from tyrant to obsequious host, nervously preparing for Richard's arrival. When Richard entered the office, he inquired about Emma. I believe you know my daughter, he said, revealing her identity. The room erupted in shock as Ethan stammered, but that's impossible. Emma stepped forward, maintaining her composure. I came here undercover to learn about our company. Richard turned to Ethan, you've demonstrated your leadership style to the future CEO of Sterling Solutions. Emma presented her documented evidence of Ethan's misconduct. Richard announced a full investigation into every decision Ethan had made, and as Maria escorted him to HR, Emma addressed her colleagues. Change begins today. You deserve to work in an environment where your talents are appreciated. The office erupted in applause, relief washing over the team. Richard turned to Emma, pride evident in his expression. You've transformed this department. 2 weeks later, the marketing department thrived under Emma's leadership. The fear and intimidation had been replaced by collaboration and creativity. Ethan faced potential legal consequences, while Emma led her team with integrity and respect. As she reviewed project proposals, Emma reflected on the lessons learned. True leadership is about empathy and the courage to stand up for what's right. The future was bright, and she was ready to lead the way, not through fear, but through understanding and genuine respect for her team. Emma had proven that sometimes, the hardest battles lead to the most profound transformations.